Hello, and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
Welcome back, Chip.
Thank you. The assignment was difficult, but as usual, we found that the city is totally messed up.
Of course. Would we expect any less at this point? Driving in today, I was listening to WSAR, and they were begging for phone calls for people who support the mayor. Can you believe that? Nobody's calling supporting the mayor. I really have to question, what's happening. And they're saying, does the mayor feel backed into a corner with this budget? Because right now the budget's deadlocked. We have 4 for and 4 against. And I don't think that's a deadlock because from what I remember, they need a supermajority or 2/3 of the council to vote for this budget. So a 4-4 kind of splits it in the middle, and there's no leeway because there's only one other vote, and that's Councilor Pereira, who is out because of a recent surgery. And Linda, we hope you're feeling much better. And we know that you'll be back at that council, tearing it up as usual. But the question is, in 5 days, are they going to make the budget deadline? I mean, I don't know. What about you, Chip? What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I want to wish Linda a speedy recovery. Whether you agree or disagree with any of her positions, she's a passionate advocate, and she's been, involved in the community for many, many years. And, I hope you're doing well, and you're in our thoughts. So with that, we get back to the budget, or lack thereof. It's difficult in Fall River because the last time I checked, in order to have a budget, you actually had to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And it seems as though our financial team can't get numbers right. I know I can't do a budget unless I know how much money I have, but it seems that nobody knows how much money we have. We have figures that change daily, some figures that change weekly, and virtually there's nothing that's nothing that really is accurate. And as a matter of fact, the last show that CJ shouldered by himself and did a great job, by the way, I was dealing with missing money in the healthcare issue. And again, there's money that isn't accounted for. The city is supposed to keep 2 months of premiums for incurred but not reported claims, which is approximately $4 million a month in claims. What it costs, 25% is paid by the employees, so it's $3 million a month. So they should have $6 million set aside for incurred but not reported. But there was a startling discovery that there's only 1 month. So there's only $3 million available, not 6. So another $3 million is missing. Even though Blue Cross attempted to give them a break, they don't even have enough money to take it with a no-interest loan. So again, the questions continue to pile up because we get no answers with this financial team. All we get is questions.
Well, yesterday during citizens input at the city council meeting, I said it very clearly. The people of Fall River have lost any faith in this administration, and especially into this finance team. When the numbers keep changing, how can you put anything on it? And a budget can't be what ifs and maybes and the financial, we got a windfall. It doesn't work that way. Shame on you, Kathy Ann Viveris, because on June 18th, Mr. Sullivan sent a letter out addressed to you, not to the mayor, not to Meg Mayo Brown, but to you, and said that the budget is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. As a matter of fact, you've been touting that $97 million for a school budget is acceptable. And the city school committee says, no, we need 99. And guess what? We've been saying on this show that you're getting $106 million in Chapter 70 money, and guess what Mr. Sullivan said? Can you imagine when he said that you need to have $106 million? Are you surprised? I'm not. And the numbers keep increasing because you're $2.8 million short, plus there's another $1.4 million here short. So that puts you up at 4 point some odd. But the numbers we're looking at, you're somewhere around $9 million short. Who's right? And Mr. Sullivan sent you a letter saying specifically that you're wrong, that you are wrong. And he said that the bottom line is the city wants to classify capital projects in the school as net school spending. They need approval of the city, of the school committee. You know, you want all these money rolled in, but you think you can just add it. You've got to get it approved. You've got to get it approved. And Sullivan wrote, in siding with the school officials, the rationale that the school department used to calculate potential health insurance is sound and detailed to the degree of balancing those expected to take an individual versus a family plan. There was no explanation of the city's methodology. This is what we've been saying. We've been saying that on this show. Your numbers make no sense, and you can't prove them in any way, shape, or form. You have no methodology. And then you come back and say, oh, no, we can prove it. Our numbers are fine. Well, you said yesterday in regards to what type of hype things that the numbers that were provided in the HIP were not valid according to today's standards. So, I mean, even in the numbers that you're providing there, nothing seems to work. If the budget is so flawed on the school committee side and so flawed on the city side, don't you think it's time to say, help? I mean, I'm getting fed up. And yesterday, I was told for the first time that people actually believed what I had to say. Because you know, Chip, I am a liar. I'm an enemy of the state. And God knows what else. I'm too emotional. So you
Well,
can't believe anything I say.
Well, I guess anyone who speaks the truth in this city is an enemy of the state. We have been in front of the council, we have been on this show saying time and time again that this budget is ridiculous. It's based on what ifs, maybes, if we get it, can we have this? You know, this is the second consecutive year we had a budget that's based on projections that are really not solid projections, numbers that don't really add up. It's a travesty. And the 4 councilors who voted for this budget should be walked up to the bragger and thrown right off.
We
Because
already talked about
because
that being a new game
the
show.
The fact is that anybody who could vote for a budget, that not one figure that has been talked about in that budget has been corroborated with any evidence that they're accurate, has to be either incompetent or in the pocket of the mayor. So what are we going to do, people? What are we going to do? I'll tell you what the mayor's going to do. We're going to talk about the casino. We're going to talk about the unemployment rate, which we will get into right now, I guess. I might as well segue into it. Now I guess the mayor's touting the unemployment rate in Fall River. Well, there's only one problem. You know the old adage that liars can figure, but figures don't lie, but or vice versa. You know, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. Again, we have a manipulation of figures, but if you look at things like people who are in government and who have to deal with real money have to do, let's look at these figures. It also went on to say there were only 38,000 people employed in Fall River, 38,000 and change.
Right, 38,308.
Okay, I did some quick figuring. That means that that's only 43% of the population. So what does that mean? Are we proud of this? That we have 43% of our population? It proves our workforce has disappeared into other areas. Because that leaves 57% of the people in this community that are either on chronically unemployed and off the unemployment rolls, on some form of public assistance, or are retired on a fixed income. All of which means we have 50% of the people in this city who aren't working, who don't have a lot of discretionary cash, and who can't afford all these increases. So again, as we've said time and time again before the council, and we say on this show, they are destroying this city with taxes and no attempt to streamline government, and they continue to try to cover it up by diverting attention, talking about casinos and unemployment rates. Well, our unemployment rate, all you got to do is look around in Fall River. And the fact is that probably of the 43% that's employed, probably 38% are working at either a pizza place or a Chinese delivery place. So with that, I'll shoot it back over to you.
Well, it's just interesting because the state is touting that our unemployment rate went from 11.1% to 9.4%. But how does 9.4% unemployed equate to 43 or whatever, 47% of the people or 57% of the people not working? So it's only 9%, but it's 57% of our population. And they also shrunk our people who can work from 42,000 and change, 42,555 people to 42,277 people. A difference of 3,000 people, it looks like, or no, excuse me, it's 300 people. So how come 300 people now don't have to work?
I'll answer that question.
And another segue.
Another segue. Well, no, we can get it. It's part of this. Part of the thing that we've been saying. I've said on numerous occasions before the city council that our workforce is no longer exists to any degree. Anybody with any skills or education has had to move out of the city, and normally they also move their residents out of the city. But our population is still there. The reason is, I think you can read that, people. The mayor of Springfield says, stop sending refugees
To the city.
to the city. The problem is that our population has been increased by people coming in to go into public housing, and we face another public housing issue again with Watuppa Heights. But this is the problem. I have contended that if we had not had public housing and this attempt to recruit people to come in here who definitely don't contribute to the workforce, our population might be down in the 70s or high 60s. And that's a problem, people. The reality is they're showing that people just don't want to come to Fall River.
No, and people who want to come here are looking for specific things. They're looking for a low crime rate, they're looking for a low drug abuse rate, and they're looking for good schools. Well, let's see. We don't have the low crime rate, although the city says we do. I mean, I just saw somebody who got stopped on the street by somebody with a knife today and asked for money. We don't have a low drug abuse problem in Fall River. As a matter of fact, we ship those people into Fall River for treatment, and then we give them a home here. And our school system, where they were just coming out of being monitored for their actions, now may go back into being monitored, because that decision is going to be made after this budget process. Because one of the things on taking them off monitoring is the resources available to them, which they don't have because the mayor took $9 million and spent it somewhere else, and we don't know where. But it's getting to the point that it's craziness. And, Mayor Dominic Sarno of Springfield said it very clearly. We've done enough. Stop sending us your refugees. Stop sending us your poor. The city's services in Springfield are so taxed from people coming in that don't have anything to offer but are leeches. And I know there are going to be people out there that see this program that are going to want to have my head on a stake and put it outside a government center. But you know what? The reality of the matter is that a lot of the people that come into the city, while they may be good people, and they need help, and we want to help everybody that we can, but you got to draw the line somewhere. At what point does helping all these people who need help becomes too much of a drain on the city? We've already exceeded that point. We found out yesterday, when they were talking about the Watuppa Heights project, which they want to have 26 units, 13 of them at 80% of the median income, and 13 of them at 50% of the median income. they want to make those available for low-income or affordable housing, and people buy their home, which I think is a wonderful thing, because if people buy a home, they're going to trust it. Instead of doing what the state wants us to do, and that's 50 units of rental property, which is just going to bring more people in. We were only required to do 100 replicated units, which is very interesting. How many did Fall River do? 325. So that means 325 more families come to Fall River for low-income housing. Just what I want, that's for sure. Our school systems get overwhelmed, our medical systems get overwhelmed, our social service systems get overwhelmed. We can't keep doing that. But again, Fall River at its best. And with that, I have to talk about our city council a little more, and I'm going to segue into this now. I was at the ordinance committee meeting on Monday, and I sat there through the whole meeting, and I have to talk about the vote on the water and sewer fees. This was amazing, Chip. You're going to love this. They get through all the discussion, and first off, we've always said that the city does not know what Cushing's rules of order are, and they don't know what any rules of order are. But Pat Casey came out and said, so by raising this 5 cents, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do to Terry Sullivan. And he goes, well, we're going to be able to work, but it's not optimal and we need more. And she basically came out, and I'm not going to try to quote her because it was just too much. She basically came out and said, well, if you need 60 cents more, why don't you ask for that? Just, hey, why not ask for $10?
Money's no object. The taxpayers can afford it.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
yeah.
Let's just pile some more on them.
Yeah.
What do you need?
And I was so surprised at that. And, well, could 10 cents more help you? He's already said all of this, and we know it. But she's trying to tout it as though, I'm not against this. Meanwhile, she's against the taxpayer. But you people keep reelecting her. And I'm going to get called out for this again because I'm calling out Pat Casey, but she happened to be there. And I'm not only calling out Pat Casey because the Torah must have been exposed in the temple, or, fire came down from the mount because Paul de Silva said something.
we need to get a highlight film of that.
Well, I have it. He actually said, I understand why you need more money because outside my mother's house, it had a problem. And because they didn't use flowable fill, it fell in. But you came and you fixed it anyhow, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to vote for this.
Oh, good. Yeah, the hell with the taxpayer.
Yeah.
You fixed my mother's house, which, by the way, you have to because
Right.
the city was an obligation. But since you did your job, and
gonna-
since I love the mayor so much, I'm going to use that as an excuse to support this tax increase again on the people I was elected to represent.
Right.
Which is, again, this is they just don't get it. We watch Messiah Melian come up and they talk about helping Fall River. Listen, people, nobody wants to come here. Fall River, the greater Fall River area is the only place in the state where property values continue to go down. They're going up everywhere else in Massachusetts. Nobody wants to come here. They look at this place and they go, wow, this place is it's like being in Somalia. And and where is our Office of Economic Disaster and our Messiah Melian and the Chamber of Commerce? They're out in San Diego, probably sitting on the dock of the bay, sipping a margarita, talking about how they're going to entice businesses to Fall River. Well, guess what? It's not happening.
Yeah, they're at the 2014 Bio International Convention, which is all this week. And interestingly enough, I checked the schedule because you want to know something? I know how to find those things. And nowhere did I see Ken Fiola there speaking about Fall River. But he, Senator Mike Roderick said, we're really going to fly these colors in the Massachusetts Pavilion. We need every opportunity to bring in clients and bio industries. We're going to fly the colors of Fall River. What's that, a welfare check or an EBT card? I mean, I don't get this.
Well, political rhetoric. That's what it is. The rah rah, or as Thucydides, a great Greek general, once said, the eloquent exhortations heard before going into battle, which mean nothing. The fact is that this is what we hear all the time. Look, let's stop being ostriches. Let's stop burying our head in the sand. Look, it's not being negative to be realistic. I hate to tell you this, people, but if you're blind, you're probably not going to become a dart champion. So you got to be realistic. The fact is that all we ever hear in front of this council is like how grateful, how wonderful we're doing. Everything's fine, and look where we are. 2 consecutive budgets that the city really is, if anybody didn't know, in receivership. When is one of these people going to remove their head from their derrieres, because it's very difficult to breathe when it's up there. So I don't know what's going on, but we can't fix this until we acknowledge it.
Well, it's like you said, it's kind of difficult to see anything where their heads are planted, but they're getting plenty of gas, that's for sure. One of the things about this biotech conference, and I've been to many, many conferences all over the country, but the one thing that you always know about a conference is every day there's a hospitality suite somewhere. And for those of you who don't know what a hospitality suite is, that means the booze is flowing freely. And every day from 3 to 5, there's a hospitality suite right up to the close of this event. And on the close of this event, they're having the International Hospitality Suite. By the way, Mike Roderick said that he's going to meet with Dubai, Quebec, and Israel to bring biotech industries to Fall River. I'm sure the people in Dubai want to come to Fall River because they don't get enough snow. Mm-hmm. Okay? And as for Israel, they're just leaving one war zone for another, so.
Well, as we said, we hear it time and time again. We hear it. It's an endless, litany of excuses. And the bottom line is in promises. But let's look at the reality again. Mike Roderick can say anything he wants. He's number 3 in per diem. He's living the good life. He goes on trips to Portugal to talk to somebody. He goes on trips to San Diego to talk to somebody. But then he goes back to Boston and begs for money because we can't balance our budget.
I know.
That's what Mike Roderick does. Begs for money because we can't run our own community. And he can give you all the political rhetoric in the world. The fact is, when they get to Boston, their primary job is to beg for money because we're the welfare city.
That's true. And it's very interesting because, as we have said before, the mayor is 3 for 3. 3 bites of the casino apple, 3 of them have failed. And now the voters are going to get a chance to vote on the referendum, the casino, on whether or not casinos are going to be legal in Massachusetts. So come November, you'll have the opportunity to vote. Vote yes, vote no, vote what you want, but make sure you let people know about it. Martha Coakley's play and ploy that we're going to have developers losing millions and millions of dollars just didn't work. And maybe that's something she should look at in her gubernatorial race, because she doesn't like doing her job anyways. Lastly, what I want to speak about is the issue we've been bringing a lot of, and that's pay as you throw. The mayor now knows that we all know that this is a crock of crap. And they went so far as to have Waste Zero do a public policy on what people thought about pay as you throw. And can you imagine what they found? People love it.
Wow. Yeah.
People love pay as you throw, according to Waste Zero. So I have to say to myself, who are they asking? And it's very interesting because I spoke with a gentleman who used to work for DCM. And in DCM, according to him, they know that pay as you throw wasn't going to work. And as a matter of fact, he had made it very clear that he felt they should privatize. And of course, nobody wanted to privatize because I'll lose my pension, I'll lose this, I'll lose that. But interestingly enough, he believed they should privatize. And he gave me a lot of information, which I'm going to be following up on very regularly, about certain supervisors and people and what they're doing, what they're not doing. But one of the big things is that he took a retirement because he wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to do it. He couldn't stay there anymore. Just couldn't stay there. And contrary to popular belief, and Kenny, we know this now because I verified it with a couple of sources over at TCM. Not only do trash collectors collect the trash, but sometimes they do road work. Sometimes they do pruning and yard work for the sake of the city. Not yard work for me, but and cleaning the on-ramps. Now that's all highway work, I thought. But waste management comes under pay-as-you-throw money, which means those people cannot work in those departments anymore. So, Kenny, just so you know, and I'm sure you do, and I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Pacheco. I always have. But all those Christmas ornaments that you like to put up, waste management people can't do it. All those banners and flags that you like to put up, waste management can't do it. So we'll be watching on how that turns out. And for the record, I'll say it again, I have privatized my waste removal services.
Well, again, we have the old scenario of when you commission a study, the study always comes out in your favor. So Waste Zero, talk to the people. Well, I know many people who live in Somerset and Swansea where they have pay-as-you-throw, and not too many people like it. And the people of Fall River who pay taxes to get their trash picked up and are also paying for the bond that they had to get the barrels that they're going to put in, and now we're going to pay for the bags that they put in the barrels that, and the taxes they pay. They're paying 3 times again for that service. It is absolutely incredible. And I guess the answer to the shortfall in the school budget is maybe Fall River will be the first community that's required to triple bag. You'll have to put in your trash in triple bags and buy 3 bags instead of 1. And if you buy 9, you're going to have to buy 27. And that's going to be the way we make up our shortfall. So everybody, be as incensed as we are and get active.
Yeah, you got to do something about it. Thanks for watching. And remember, keep watching us here at Spindle City Straight Talk. We're here to investigate your issues. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.